In my 20s, I was an athlete and I was extremely fat. Now I'm 39, I'm closing in on 40, and I'm the leanest I've ever been in my entire life. This is how I did it, and most importantly, how I've maintained it. Focusing on being lean, I had to hit one key aspect. I had to establish my general practices. So that means first I had to look at what is my total daily energy expenditure. Second, I had to figure out how many calories am I already consuming. Third, I had to look at how many days could I train in a given week. Fourth, what's my sleep like? Sleep plays a major role in my overall general health. Fifth, I travel all the freaking time. Am I gonna take diet breaks when I'm traveling, or am I not gonna take diet breaks? And then this takes me more into my own physical training. And you've heard me talk about how running is overrated. You've heard me in the past say things like,
running isn't the greatest thing, at least in regards to strength and conditioning.
But when it comes to leaning out, man, am I changing my tune. I started to play around with running as an endurance tool for myself personally. My initial goal, I wanted to run 1 mile. And I sort of looked at it as there's two comparisons. Could I run 1 mile, or could I just run for 10 to 15 minutes? And I set these two standards. And then slowly I tried to build up. I'm notorious for setting these crazy goals. I want to run, in this case, 50 miles within the next 3 weeks. That's something that I would have done in the past. But what I ended up doing was saying, all right, if I could build up to 30 miles a week over the next 6 to 8 months, that seemed like a very realistic goal, and I could just start by running that first mile. And then the next day I could get out and run another mile. And then by the time I'm 3, 4, 5 weeks in, I might be at 10 miles. And then that was that jumping off point. After about 4 weeks, I was at 10 miles and I could slowly build up to 20 miles. And then a major goal for me was to be able to run a marathon throughout the span of a week. So could I get to 26 plus miles over a 7-day time frame? But that took me about 4.5 months to get to that point. Now here I am, and in certain weeks, I've run over 40 miles. But the big factor here is that I have a specific breakdown. I'll do one very long run, and this might be 10 to 13 miles. And I'm not gonna run this at a crazy clip. This is something where I might go out and I might run 10.5 to 11-minute miles, and that's perfectly fine. Then I'm gonna have 2 to 3 moderate distance runs. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll do some stretches, I'll do some mobility and some meditation, and I'll get outside and I'll run 5 to 8 miles. And again, I'm not overly concerned about the intensity. I just want to get that mileage done. It's a nice break from weightlifting. It's a nice break from being around people. You can get outside and just worry about yourself. And then finally, I'll have another run where I'll go out and I have no idea how far I'll go. Some days I might only run 3.5 to 4 miles. Some days that might be another very long run if I get into a nice rhythm. One of the interesting aspects is just paying attention to my heart rate. If I can see that I'm running up a hill that used to get my heart rate to 180, and now I can hit that hill at 155 to 160 beats per minute, I feel pretty good about that. If I can run consistent 10-minute miles over the span of 12 to 13 miles, I feel pretty good about that. It's a totally different way of training that I'm not used to because I was a power athlete growing up my entire life. I'm giving away one free shirt to any of our subscribers. All you've got to do is 1, comment down below. 2, make sure that you subscribe and you have all of your channel notifications active. And 3, show up to our Tuesday YouTube Live to figure out if you won the shirt. Now, let's get back to leaning out. If you're like me, you've spent a large portion of your life being a husky bull. I was never one to turn down a nice scoop of ice cream. And being a football lineman and being a shot putter and a heavyweight wrestler, I loved being a bigger dude. But I also yearned for that sleek physique. And the good thing is that no matter what your age, you can always flip the switch and start working towards being a little bit leaner. As I discussed, one of the first things that I did was start to run. The second big factor is that I used a lot of machines. I used the assault bike quite a bit to help with that overall endurance. I also used machines when I was doing general bodybuilding. But the most important factor is that I changed how I was actually eating, focusing on healthier foods like bananas, and realizing how good they actually are. I'm a firm believer in holding the ideal of trying to achieve 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, okay? So if that's the ideal, we can get to this point. If you weigh 220, you try to get to 220 grams a day. If you get to about 0.75 grams, that's a really, really great goal, but use this as that ideal. The next big factor is that as you're running, and as you're lifting, you need to make sure that you can fuel that fire. So you can add in some type of lean meat. You can use fish, you can use chicken, you can use turkey, you can use grass-fed beef, anything along those lines to improve that overall protein intake. Another big factor is that I wanna figure out, okay, with my carbs. I believe if you are running or if you are swimming or doing fan bike work, anything along those lines consistently, let's say 4 times a week, I think it's important that you get about 4 grams per kilo of body weight, okay? 4 grams of carbohydrates per kilo of body weight. So that would put me around 400 carbs, okay, in a single day. Now, one of my major factors then would be taking fiber and actually focusing on how much fiber you can get, taking your total carbohydrate intake and getting about 10% of that number through fiber. So if I'm having 400 grams of carbohydrates on a daily basis, I wanna try and get about 40 grams of fiber. And you could even err on that high side, getting 40 to 50 grams. That's gonna help you with your overall recovery, with your gut microbiota. It's gonna help you lean out even more, and you'll maintain greater health inside your gut. And when you eliminate alcohol, now your gut feels really happy and you're healthier. And a lot of the tricks around getting in the proper protein, the proper carbs, the proper fiber is that we have to plan things out the night before. I like to take out my peak performance planner and actually write down, this is the amount of protein I'm gonna be eating tomorrow. This is where I'm getting it from. These are the food sources that I'm gonna be getting my carbohydrates from. These are the food sources that I'm gonna be getting my fiber from. That means a lot of oats, a lot of raspberries, a lot of avocados, a lot of chia seeds, anything along those lines, a lot of bananas. If we plan that out the night before, it makes it a lot easier to achieve that nutritional standard. So you're probably wondering, what am I doing with my actual lifting? If I'm going out for these long runs, how am I handling my lifting? And the main goal was that I could continue to strength train at least 4 days a week. First and foremost, I plan my heavy leg days around my long runs. I think the big factor is it's really hard to squat heavy or to deadlift heavy if I just went out for a 10 to 12 mile run, or if I have that run tomorrow and I have to squat heavy, then I'm gonna feel like trash when I'm going out for that run. So the main goal, plan your heavy leg day when you aren't going to have a really long run. It's still, I lifted 4 days a week, and the main thing that I like to do, that I still do, is I'll pick one compound movement. So let's say I pick, in this case, a bench press. I'll come in, and if I'm feeling pretty good and I have some specific goal, I might wanna push that a little bit heavier. If I'm not feeling as strong, maybe I'm a little fatigued, I might just focus on getting a nice pump. And this is one of the biggest attributes around what I've been doing, is that I've taken some old principles out of the Ghostface program and used them as a guideline for as I'm trying to increase my lean capability. And to replace the Ghostface program, we've created athletic fitness. So one of the coolest parts about our athletic fitness program inside of Peak Strength is that I can go in on a specific day. I can select, do I wanna focus on weight loss? Do I wanna focus on strength, building muscle, or functional based training? And I can select that specific highlight. And now Peak Strength is designed based off of what you select: weight loss, functional, strength, muscle, whatever you select. Now it's gonna spit out a program exactly to those needs based off of how you're feeling on that specific day. And along the lines of strength gains, some of the major factors that I bring in is that I still wanna get a pump. I still wanna do a lot of bodybuilding movements. So I'll find some isolation work, I'll find some classic bodybuilding movements or movement patterns, and I still am gonna hit 4 sets of 20, 4 sets of 25. I wanna focus on achieving that brain-derived nootropic factor. I also wanna make sure that I'm getting a lot of blood flow to my joints so that they stay stable, and I'm maintaining that muscular architecture. Some of the other big factors as well is that I just like looking better. I wanna enjoy what the mirror is reflecting when I'm doing this type of work. And so if I'm leaning out and still maintaining that muscle mass, I feel good about that work. And that's one of the major factors around athletic fitness, is that we couple everything together. We bring things in line with, all right, let's do some athletic-based work. Let's develop that fitness. How can we focus on weight loss and at the same time focus on functional patterning? We want to actually continue to train for something like running, and in the meantime maintain optimal physique. And that's exactly what we designed the program of athletic fitness to do. You can hit any of those key areas, any of those 4 key areas, while still making great progress and not getting bored doing the exact same thing every single day. Whew. Training with dumbbells is another big factor. Is that I've been doing a lot of unilateral strength, a lot of single leg work, trying to improve the mobility in my hips, using our single leg roller, available at garagestrength.com, and then also achieving a larger range of motion if I'm doing dumbbell incline bench or one arm rows, or just getting a crazy pump doing alternating hammer curls. One of the other aspects that I credit a lot to my running is that my sleep has drastically improved. Getting anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep has helped me an unbelievable amount. One, I have to plan, if I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and go out and get a long run, I have to plan to get to bed earlier. 2, I'm breathing less when I'm sleeping because I can actually process things, and my aerobic capacity has drastically improved, so I can handle things a lot easier. I've also lost that weight, which makes it easier for my body to maintain homeostasis, meaning there's less energy going into maintaining my general metabolic processes. And you can see what has happened with my overall sleep patterns. My heart rate has dropped while I'm sleeping. There's also greater variation between my peak heart rate and my lowest heart rate when I'm sleeping, which is also a positive sign for your overall health. My breaths per minute have dropped by around 2 breaths every single minute since I've been implementing more aerobic-based training. I've been doing more workouts earlier in the morning. I've improved my organization as an individual. I've improved my stress management because I'm spending more time focusing on myself. I've designed my day a little bit more around me and less around everybody else. I'm not trying to say that we all need to be selfish, but we all have to take care of ourselves from that health perspective. And that's all led to a better sleep performance because I'm organizing my day to optimize my recovery and to optimize my health. But this next thing can absolutely ruin your sleep. Drinking alcohol is like stealing time from tomorrow. It can completely disrupt everything. And that's one thing I've struggled with. I love drinking. I love socializing. I love bullshitting with my buddies. But one of the major things that I've done is try to eliminate as much alcohol as possible. It can cause severe joint swelling. It can disrupt your guts. It can lead to a major disruption in your overall sleep. And once you have a disruption in your sleep pattern, it's harder to recover. It's harder to handle going for a run or doing that resistance-based training. It's even its own macronutrient. At 7 calories per gram, it can get you fat. So one of the most important aspects, especially as we age, is to try to eliminate alcohol as much as possible and keep that partying to a minimum. Yes, I know it's enjoyable. Yes, I know it's fun, but try to think about that long-term goal of leaning out. Try to think about those long-term goals of doing something crazy, like maybe running a marathon. Should I run a marathon? Comment down below. One of those things though is just focusing on figuring out how you can replace alcohol, still socialize, still enjoy yourself, still enjoy being around your friends, but come up with some type of positive replacement so that it doesn't disrupt your overall health. This is so gross. Like, I hate liquor, I'm sorry. Liquor is brutal.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Deadlifts. We need to continue lifting weights. We've got to improve that overall resistance-based training. We've got to make sure that we improve our sleep. We've got to be aware of what our nutritional intake is in our total daily energy expenditure. Focus on those unilateral movement patterns. Implement some type of endurance-based training. And of course, make sure that we continue to bodybuild. If you guys need help with your training, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. Download Peak Strength today and click on the athletic fitness portion so you have a dynamic training system that's going to help you based off of your feeling on that specific day. Because remember, Freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.